we've got the final week, and we have a special championship edition of Best Bet Show. I'm a host, Kiprios.
And my name is Jimmy the Bag. 8 weeks of action, and we are crowning one champion who is now $4,000 richer. And what a wild week 8 we had.
Before we get into it, let's just go over the nuts and bolts again, just so everybody knows how this game is played. We gave everybody $1,000 each. They had to put down at least 25% of their bankroll across 5 different bets. And yeah, we had a bettribution every week that the best bettor gave to the person who fared the worst. And my goodness, going into week 8, it looked like there was going to be one person that was going to win it. Well, Jimmy, what did you think of what happened, and what did you think of this season?
It was wild. It was a wild season, and the 8th week was some of the craziest action I've ever seen. Highs and lows. My goodness. Clint McLean in first place coming into week 8. He'd led most of this contest. He'd had a bad week 7. He had a real sizable lead after week 6. And he had a $283.29 lead on second place, Daryl. He had a $480.87 lead on third place, Donnie. And even Dutch was down just a little over $600. They were all within line to take a shot at the championship. And let's start this very exciting show by bringing the man who had the lead, Clint McLean.
And we'd like to welcome Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast, to the show. He was up, Clint, you were up $300 last week. And not just what the fights that you chose, but just your betting style. You went all the way in. It was the most exciting and entertaining moment this show has ever seen. But you came up a little bit short. If you had a do-over, just with the style and unloading the entire clip, what would you do differently?
You know, Kip, the wound is still fresh. I've been thinking about this for about 2-3 days straight now since the whole thing went down. And I came to the conclusion that while I wanted to clutch at straws and say I could have done it a different way, the answer is no. I went for it all, and I wanted to go for it all. And the fact is, I didn't want to gamble on these other competitors all missing. I did not anticipate that everybody would be missing the way that they did on this final week. I know we all were kind of stretching for that first place spot, but I did not believe that a $300 lead was enough. I thought I was going to need more in the bag to be able to take this contest down. Turns out I was wrong in that, but I can't go back and pretend like I wasn't going to go ahead with this strategy. The intent was always to mislead my opponent, Durrell, into going a little bit over the top with his bets, or maybe even play it a little too conservatively and then be nowhere near me when I doubled up my entire bankroll. That was the plan from the jump. So can't say I would have changed it.
It was so exciting. And the roller coaster ride you gave this show, you know, we're all enormously thankful for. Unfortunately, the end of the roller coaster ride, you know, someone got decapitated, and that happens. You know, that happens in gambling, in this wild world that we live in. Can you walk us through this $1,400 parlay at minus 143? Can you just talk briefly about each of the 3 fights and sort of what went down for our viewers?
Absolutely, Jimmy. So what I had done is I spent hours racking my brain, finding the safest spots that I possibly could to tie together into this parlay. I wanted to make sure that my bankroll was secured. And in MMA, you do get these situations where, short of somebody snapping their ankle, it's almost assured that it's going to happen. And unfortunately, in MMA, somebody snaps their ankle every once in a while. So it's gambling, man. There is no such thing as a lock. I tell my listeners that all the time. We kicked off with Danny Sabatello in the Bellator fights. He's just a dominating wrestler. He had a massive gas tank advantage, and it didn't matter that his opponent got one good round in. He was going to outwork him for the remaining 3 or 4. And sure enough, he did exactly what he needed to do and mauled his opponent all the way through the 25 minutes. I was hoping that he would get me a round 4 or a round 5 finish by submission. That was one of those little dart throws that, had he got one of those done for me, I wouldn't have needed the parlay. because that would have paid well enough for me to take down the whole show anyway. Unfortunately, he didn't have any interest in attacking that submission, but we checked off the leg on the parlay. The anchor for my parlay was supposed to be Shavkat Rakhmonov in the UFC, and he just dominated his opponent. Absolute destruction from the opening bell, finished him in the second round with a submission. That's another spot where he was in my submission special parlay. He was also part of the parachute ripcord parlays to keep me in this thing if the big parlay missed. Unfortunately, the other legs of that one did not come through. So I checked off 2 of those 3 legs, Jimmy. The one that failed me was Bruno Capoloza from the PFL. And this is where I'm incredibly frustrated because this was a hand-picked opponent, Jimmy. PFL, they're notorious. They want their homegrown fighters to be the ones that shine. They want their guys that we've seen on the PFL tournaments a couple of times already to be the ones that succeed and advance. And this man is last year's champion. He's the biggest knockout artist they have. He is a massive, massive favorite. His opponent was essentially a scrub who flared out of the UFC and had no business in the cage with him, brought in on short notice to lose to this man. And he simply did not show up. He got his bell rung early in round 1, which, again, it's MMA. Things like that can happen. And I thought he recovered well enough to outpoint his opponent in rounds 2 and 3. It was a very close fight. I could have still gotten the nod, but unfortunately the judges gave the first 2 rounds to his opponent and only awarded him the third. I lost a decision with a minus 7,800 favorite, Jimmy, and that's pain right there, let me tell you.
And you beat that market move enormously, though. You got in on the parlay at 560, so he goes off at 780, but you destroyed that market move. I just wanted to add that in, that you didn't get in at that final price. You got in much earlier and at much better price. Kip, take it away.
No, I was just going to say one of the most enjoyable things from this was that week in and week out, you would circle certain bouts or you'd put fights together and combine them, and you would put a lot of money on them. I think you were 4-1 on bets that were over 200. I think you lost one that was $300. But every time that you were putting these big bets together, you were coming up large. There was a graphics muffle that happened. On Friday, you and I were communicating. I was starting to work, and there was a mix-up that could have potentially been a catastrophe that was narrowly avoided because you wanted 4 and 5 rounds for the submission, and the graphic that we had put up was 2 and 3, and we did miss that. But with these big shots that you take and that you've taken in for this 8-week competition, how closely does this reflect your unit size and what you are actually doing out there with your own personal money? And I know we're forcing you into 5 bets on Friday, but what we saw from you during this competition, the 8 weeks, is this representative of how you actually use your own bankroll?
Actually, it's pretty similar. And that's one thing that frustrates me about the way this ended, guys, is that week 8, I played for the contest. I had a good week in the UFC this weekend, guys. If I had stuck to my usual game plan, similarly to how I had played weeks 1 through 7, I would have won this contest. I played it differently for the sake of the contest, thinking I was making the safest choice possible given the bankroll that we were given for the show. But weeks 1 through 7 were very indicative of how I normally tend to play. I like to find a spot that I really like on each card. I play that spot stronger than most of the others. And then I do take 2 to 3 little shots on these insane spots. And if I win my main bet, it covers me for what I'm doing on the other little shot takers that I have. And when everything all comes together, about once every 4 or 5 events, guys, I have an absolutely insane night where I stack profit. And that's just how I work. I swing for the fences. I've been doing my podcast for 3 years now. 2 out of those 3 years, I have been marked as profitable. The 1 year that I was not was the lesser of the 3. So I actually am overall profitable as an MMA bettor. People like to rag on me because I will go 4 or 5 weeks taking L's, not putting consistent wins together. But when I do win, I make up for all the L's in one night. So it's a roller coaster ride. It's the way I like to gamble. It's fun. And those nights that I do end up winning really make a difference and make up for everything between.
Clint, you are an absolute class act, and you brought so much fun to this contest. There were highs and lows and everything in between, and you delivered it all to us, and we'll be forever thankful and forever grateful. And we will talk about your performance here for years to come. That's how interesting it all was. So from the bottom of our heart here at Best Bet, we thank you very, very much for everything that you brought. And I'm sorry that it didn't end up with a big payday for you because you deserved it. So thank you, my man.
Well, thank you guys very much. I do appreciate that. It is a bittersweet farewell because I do wish I was sitting here for you as your champion. One mistake, you can damn near say a bad beat on the very last week of the contest. And we know all too well with gambling, that's how it goes sometimes. So it's just unfortunate for me to end up on that side of it. But it was a blast. Thank you guys for having me. The show was fun. It was a pleasure. And I guess I'm never going to get Durrell back for those pictures.
Clint, I just want to echo the sentiment that Jimmy, nobody's given us as much as you have. So truly, thank you so much for not just how entertaining you are, but how much time that you've taken, how much time you've dedicated to us, and with the smile on your face and the moments that we've had, it was just absolutely perfect and a thrill. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Kip. That means a ton, guys. I really appreciate it. It was a blast. And hey, if you guys ever do a redemption, let me know.
Hell yeah. Well, that is Clint McLean, but we've got a big show still coming up to you because you know what it is, Jimmy? Get ready for the Best Bet Awards. And now, the biggest night in Best Bet entertainment. That is correct. It is the Best Bet Awards. All of the starlets, all of the cappers, all of the DJs gathered around to see who will take home the hardware. Well, we had 5 cappers, 5 incredible cappers competing for the prestige and honor of Best Bettor, of Biggest Wager Won. Well, let's get right into it. Right now, the award for Biggest Wager Won goes to... Thank you. You look lovely this evening. Clint from the MMA podcast, $350 on Caitlin Shukagian. Clint, great job by you.
And now, the award for highest odds on a winning wager. Thank you. You look hideous. Ooh! Clint McLean! Jake Matthews TKO in UFC 275. $40 on Jake Matthews for the TKO at plus 1,100. Brought him $440 worth of profit. Clint McLean, congratulations.
Wow, Clint. Looking to sweep the board, but this one has got some stiff competition. And now, the award for the best Bettribution. The nominees are Mr. Doo-Doo-Right, starring the Big Ragu. Clint gets complimented by Big Ragu, and Darryl makes Clint McLean pose for glamour shots. Drum roll, please. And the award goes to... Thank you. You look very average this evening. Clint McLean does it again with glamour shots. Great job by you, Clint.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the winner of this year's Best Bet Gambling Contest is... Darryl Rice from Los Angeles, California. Darryl Rice.
What is good? Got my signature drink ready, man. Hey, I'm happy. I'm happier than a pig in slop, man. I'm beyond happy. Telling you now, this one's for y'all. Salute.
Hey, it's Darryl is our champion. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations indeed. So when I saw the bets go out, capping is so difficult to do. I looked at it and I was like, why is he leaving so much in the chamber? You only went out with, I think, 57% or 59% of your bankroll. And who knew that that was going to be the best play of this entire competition? Walk us through week 8. You were down $283. What was your strategy and how did you win this thing?
Okay, so I wanted to explain this prior to, but I knew maybe if I won, there would be a good, it would make for, a really good explanation. One thing that was constant about this that you could see across the board was everyone, unfortunately, was in the red, right? So the likelihood of someone sweeping the board, including myself, was probably not going to happen. And I knew with myself, of course, because there just wasn't any NBA. I had one WNBA game. Lines weren't going to come out for the following NBA games or WNBA games until that day. So I knew I didn't have much to go by. Talking with Clint the week prior, one thing I knew for sure was that Clint was bluffing. If you look at how Clint plays, Clint swings for the fences all the time here. And then looking at the other players, I knew that there was some ground that had to be made for them to come alive. And so I banked really on everybody swinging for the fences. That's what I did. And so I just had to manage that risk. I knew being in second place wasn't really safe. And then if you look at the bets themselves, those bets, anybody could have won this competition with one bet that if it would have cashed. Clint had like 3 that could have easily cashed and still kept the title. That Yankees bet that happened with Dutch, had that would have cashed, he probably would have been a winner, And the same thing that happened with Donnie, the same thing, even though Big Ragu had a Hail Mary long shot, it was a good one, and that could have cashed. So looking at the bets and just thinking that everybody was going to try to swing for the fences, I just said, you know what? I'll be a little conservative here and just see if I can at least end with no money. I didn't, and just trying to be a smart bettor, really. I'm not going to go and swing for the fences with sports I really don't cap and know that well, right? So I had to stick with what I knew, and that's what I did in the end. I ultimately wanted to just not risk as much maybe as some other bettors would, and I was banking on Clint going for the gusto, and he did just that.
Strategy worked beautifully. Now, the big question, Daryl, $4,000. Do you have any plans for this cash? What are your plans for 4K?
Yeah, I will be honest with you here. We all know what's happened with me as of recently, and I've spent a lot of money on this funeral and family. We're going to have that on this week, so it's bittersweet in a sense, if you will. I've dished out a ton of money to bury my sister correctly. So this helps by far. If it couldn't gone to a better cause, it's really going back into making sure my sister has a proper burial. And I tell you, the timing could not be perfect. The timing could not be perfect. So I wish it was more celebratory in a sense to where I say, hey, I'm going to buy, some sneakers and a vacation to Cancun, but that isn't the case, really. It's one of these cases to where with the time that's happened with my sister, it's a celebration here. I know she's looking down on me. I tweeted that even a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Tiffany, I know you got me. So this here is just, it's bittersweet. I am able to make sure I can get my sister the right burial.
I think that the other 4 cappers, every single person that has anything to do with this show would all agree that the right person won this year. And I am thrilled that sometimes good things happen to great people and in good times, and timing is everything in betting and capping and in life. So I'm so happy and I'm so proud that you did it. So congratulations to you, Daryl.
Thank you.
What a pleasure. What a beast to get through this obstacle course. So great work.
Thank you.
And there could be more dollars in your future here on Best Bet as we plan to bring back all the champions.
That's right.
Once we have 5 of them, and we hope to up the cash in that one.
Yeah.
So there will be more money up for grabs, and you will be a part of that season. So you have another season for you in Best Bet, the season of champions, because that is who you are. Dale, you're a champion, and you brought so much. You brought so much to this show, and we love you. You're a class act, and it does feel good, really, really good to know that you got that cash to help with everything that you've been going through, and you deserved this win. That strategy you had in the final week of this contest will be talked about for years to come.
Yes.
It was the wildest final week we could have possibly imagined. And you're the champ, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Now I'm just going to petition that y'all start the season a little earlier so I can get some NBA games in and you're not seeing me bet on baseball.
Absolutely.
The experience was great. It's one of these things to where you're looking at the capping industry and it's not easy. This isn't easy at all. And if anybody and everybody could do it, then everybody would be doing it. So to be able to make bets on a weekly basis and win those is very, very hard. And so I wish I could have done better. But at the same time, much respect to every damn capper that competed in this show. These guys are highly, highly, highly favored. They're great at what they do. And it's just an honor really to be in the same league as these guys. Hopefully one day I'll be able to be even better than I am now. But I'm telling you right now, this entire experience has been great. Thanks so much again, guys, for this opportunity.
Hell yeah. Well, you heard it right there. Season 2 officially in the books. Our champion, it's Daryl. So congratulations. And hey, we'll be right back to wrap this thing up. What an extravagant evening, full of entertainment. The BBAs, very similar to the Dundies, but the BBAs far more prestigious. Well, let's look at week 8 and see how we got there. As you know, Clint, $283. He walked into the final week. He bet it all. He bet every single penny that he had, $1,598. It all went into it. And if you look at this week here, you can see Ragu actually finally wins a week. Our boy Ragu would be giving out a retribution. We actually needed to see it. He only lost $116, and that was enough for top spot. What else did you see, Jimmy, in week 8?
Dutch Boy Fresh wins $4,000 if his New York Yankees defeated the Houston Astros. That was just a $750 bet, and the Astros took care of business and kept Dutch out of top spot. And then Daryl, 1-4, $559.09. Who would have thought that those would be the numbers that would lead him to victory? But that's exactly the case. As you talked about, only betting 57% of his stack when all of his rivals went all in. Daryl goes 1-4, down $559, but is on top of the overall leaderboard when it's all said and done. Let's take a look at that overall leaderboard with Daryl on top.
All right, you can see Daryl finishing with $756.53. Donnie, right side, Seymour with $265.95. Dutch Boy Fresh with $124.97. Ragu with $4.35. And Clint finishes with $0. And that is going to do it for the second season of Best Bet. It was an absolute honor and pleasure, Jimmy, always working with you. You bring so much to the show, so thank you so much for all that you do. For the graphics designers, the video editors, the producers, the people on Twitter and the people on YouTube and Gaming Today, thank you so much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for having us.
On behalf of all of us here, thank you to the viewers. Thank you guys for watching us. Season 3 right around the corner with the huge focus on the diamond. MLB baseball. Gonna be fun. Gonna be wild. We have 5 great competitors ready to rock. On behalf of all of us here at Best Bet, thank you for watching. And most importantly, get that cash.
Get that paper!